Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. If you're hoping to spend part of the holiday season in the Smokies, you better book it now, folks, as in today. At ParksideCabinRentals.com, you'll be able to look at all their floor plans, their amenities for each of their cabins, their locations for the cabins. You'll get free parking when you head into downtown Gatlinburg on top of all that. ParksideCabinRentals.com is your best bet for booking a great stay, weekend or weekday, in the Smoky Mountains during the holiday season and during the beautiful winter wonderland that becomes the Smoky Mountains this time of year. Parkside Cabin Rentals. All right, back with a segment we call the Stole Train. All our VFLs are out here, but one VFL, it's not an SEC game, so he big times us and just sends in a video. So here's 50 seconds of Mike Stoll, former Vol captain, his take on what the UConn game means.
Hey, John, it's Mike on the Stole Train. 59 points. Well, I think everybody would agree that 59 is pretty special. But when you look at, you only have to play a half, you're playing all your younger players, yeah, those are positives. It's a homecoming win. Next 2 weeks will be nothing like that. My take as a VFL, I'm worried about feeling overconfident about that win and walking into Missouri and not getting out to a fast start. We really need to buckle down the next 2 weeks, see what they can do against Missouri and Georgia. Those wins or those games are what will really define your season. Nobody's going to remember what you did against UConn, but they're going to remember if you beat Missouri or Georgia and you go to a really good bowl game or almost contend for an SEC title. That's what's going to really matter. Curious to see what my VFLs think. For me, it's okay. Let's see what next week's all about, though.
All right, let's go to the fellow VFLs. Daniel, I'll start with you. Well, who am I going to start with here? I'll start with Daniel down there. You agree with Mike? That's just kind of that was just a placeholder until the real action starts the next couple of weeks, or do you take something from it?
I'm gonna disagree with him, and I think momentum in football can carry on. I mean, Marlon and I were on a team that we thought was going to be really good. We'd go against Florida, hit a buzzsaw, and it tears apart our entire season. So a game like this, when you got two very important games coming up, this can give you that momentum. And I think the most important thing about this game is you cut your snaps that your first team playing by 50%, 60%. Now you got almost another bye week for those guys.
All right.
To me, it's a program builder, right? Like this is how you get better and you get guys in for the seasons to come to see what they can do. They're young guys, live action. But for this season, it is more than anything else, kind of like a mid-season, preseason game where you're like, all right, get a couple snaps, don't get hurt, get out. So it doesn't really matter in the scheme of how good is this team. This is not a good barometer of that. This is just the things that I liked out of it is that you came out and played with a high mentality of ready to play. That to me told you about here, not necessarily about how good a team you are, but you were ready. So I take some away from it, but it depends on how you're judging. If you're a fan going, look how great this team is, this is not the game for you to say this is the judgment of that.
Right.
For me, this is looking at other players and saying, did we do the right things mentally, tough and all that kind of stuff? That tells me this team's ready to play. That gives me hope for they're going to be ready to play for the next couple of games. But overall, just where this team sits, it doesn't tell me we're now an explosive offense.
Well, you also came out with the other positive is you came out with no injuries. Well, except for those poor guys on the special point team. They're hobbled and beaten. Sterling, do you take something from this, or is it let's get on to the big games?
No, I take a lot from this, and this is why. It gives the opportunity for one to get some rhythm, as Daniel pointed to, with the offense and defense. And also gives the opportunity for those that work hard every day in practice to make those starters and players better to get a chance to cross that line and play. Give them something to work for. I mean, I know it takes the starters to set the tempo, but now they got a chance to cross the line. It's something they can talk about on the offseason, something they can feel good about. And you never know. They're bringing an extra verb to practice, can uplift the starters and give us the opportunity to do something next week. That's where I'm at with it.
Bring the extra verb to practice.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Marlon Walls, where are you?
I would say that I would disagree because of just simply for the offense and Joe Milton. If he had been dominating the whole season, his numbers are really good like we expected coming into this season, then now I would throw the game away. But the fact that he's clicking again, that's 3 games in a row, I think that's a big piece. And then now when the OC gets on the board and we're talking about Missouri and going through that practice plan, hey, Joe, just like last week, we're going to be expecting this guy to hit here. So I would say that's the only reason why this was a big piece for them.
Okay.
Hey, maybe Shula got a chance to play, baby. Come on, those are things.
That's why people buy the tickets.
For those,
Right there, because the backups get to play.
Well-
I'm all for those guys getting to play. Again, I understand Gaston Moore going in yesterday, but at the same time, you have to look at it and say, well, but Gaston Moore isn't going to be your starter next year, and Nico is. Yeah. At some point, you got to figure out what the purpose of this game is. They used to play, back before my day, they used to play JV games for this purpose. They'd take the JV squad, and all the backups would go play an entire game against somebody else's backups. Now it's kind of like you mix the two and charge the fans the same. I'm more like Mike. I don't take a lot out of that UConn game. But
the one added benefit to it, too, is just like in Mike's video, he's got the photo of him playing in his Tennessee jersey. Like, nobody notices who the team is on it. Those younger kids are going to have those same photos. It's going to be in there.
Exactly.
I think his point, though, wasn't just throw his game. It was just that doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything about Georgia.
No. It doesn't tell you how you're going to perform against Missouri or Georgia.
No. Yeah, that's kind of the point. I just think the interesting thing is a lot more disagreement when a guy's chiming in on tape. It's a lot easier to argue with the guy. I want you in his face the next time he's here. All right.
Promise.
There you go. You played with it. When we come back, the Vols are 3/4 the way through their season, so let's discuss some surprises, some disappointments, and we'll give you what you want. What were we most wrong about? Come on back on the Sports Source.